So my name is Richard Gigg. I come from a military background originally and then spent 20 years in the world of technology in IT, initially in corporate life and then building companies, doing startups. And I now find myself where I now go out to the world and help other people become millionaires, which is a really nice thing to be able to do. More importantly, it's about helping people be happy millionaires. Because millionaires, believe it or not, are not always happy. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of money who are the most depressed people you will ever come across. So we don't really want that in the world, do we? Wouldn't it be really good if you could have lots of happy people who are very rich and got everything they want in life? Can we join in? So when the guys asked me if I could do an opening talk, one of the things that we've been working on together is culture. And what we wanted to look at today was how cultural behaviour drives commercial success. So have any of you ever worked in a business where you had a bad culture? Show of hands. What was it like working in that business? Awful. Depressing. I mean, there's a truism, isn't there? You know, the happiest company, the happiest people are the most productive people. You know, if you've worked in a company that was really, really motivated, or in a stage in your life where you were really, really motivated, you were probably at your happiest. And you were probably your most productive. Would that be true, yes or no? Yeah, good. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have a look at this from two aspects. Over here, whenever I stand over here, I'm going to talk about business. This is just to mess the cameraman around. Okay? And then when we come over here, we're going to see it from a personal context. Okay? Because some of you in the room will be business owners. Got a show of hands of business owners in the room? There's probably about 30%. So we're going to be talking business over there, personal over here. And you have to remind me if I get mixed up. Let me know these guys. Any rugby fans in the audience? The whole point, this is my team, Harlequins, and I'm going to tell you a few stories around this to try and demonstrate to you the importance of culture driving commercial success. 2009, does anybody know what this incident's all about?
Yes, Bloodgate.
Bloodgate. We cheated. We cheated. My team, the team that I supported and loved and religiously went to every week for every home game and a few away games, cheated. It was a horrible moment. You'd think that the club couldn't get in a worse situation. And for those of you that are not aware, basically we feigned an injury by one of the guys, Tom Williams, biting into a blood capsule so that we could bring our kicker back onto the pitch. That was the idea. It was in a European Cup game against Leinster, and it was one of the darkest days in the club's history. It couldn't get any worse. So if we look at it from a company perspective, for you guys, this is the recession. That's what it looks like. You know, it feels like the world's at an end. And a lot of your companies, a lot of your competitors have probably gone to the wall. A lot of you might have been working in different companies when the recession started. And it does feel at times that it can't get any worse. On a personal side of things, it's like I'm in a job I don't like. This is not a good place for me to be, but I'm going to stick it out until the recession's over, because it might be worse over there. So this was a very dark time for the club. Dean Richards, who you see there, lost his job. He got banned for 2 years. He's now at Newcastle, isn't he? He's at Newcastle now. Fantastic manager. I grew up basing my life on the values that I learned on the rugby field. Honour, respect, you know, always shaking hands after there's a code of conduct that you have as a rugby player, and you were brought up when I was at school. Those were embedded in me, and I ran my whole life. When I was with the Marines, when I was in civilian life, I never ever told anybody to do anything because a request was always enough. And that came from what I learned on the rugby field. It's quite interesting when you look back at that and you see it's like an age ago. Oops, wrong way. Because that's today. If you look at the table at the moment, we are sitting top just. very close to this year. But we won the championship last year, and we had a great day at Twickenham when we won the championship. So the question is, well, how do we get from these depths of despair to this elevated position where for the first time in the club's history, they win the championship? Any suggestions on how they did that? What was underpinning, made that happen?
Strong leadership.
Leadership. Leadership, belief. What else? Culture. Yeah, absolutely. They didn't sit down with a manual and said, okay, how are we going to win the championship? They didn't go off and buy a book and say, there you go, that's how we're going to win the championship. Because if they'd have taken that to the guys and said, this is what we need to do, they would have gone, bloody hell, that's too hard. We can't go and do that. But what they did is they created a culture. The team that won the championship was very much the same team that played in that game against Leinster during Bloodgate. In fact, Tom Williams, the guy who bit the blood capsule, I'm not sure if he's on that picture, but he scored a try in the final, as did Chris Robshill, our captain, an England captain. So it was a momentous, but it was built on culture. So these are the kind of statements that they were making. At the end of the thing, they were talking about it was the spirit. There was even a tribute at the bottom there to Dean Richards because he put that structure in place to enable that to happen. So if we go over here and we look at it from a company perspective and we say, okay, what values do we have as a business that are driving us forward? What culture? Where are we going? There was a very clear destination. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. In a personal context, in your personal lives, what values do you run your life with? Where are you going? How many people get out of bed each day just to go and earn some money? Where's the destination? If ever you're in doubt of that, a great exercise is to sit down and write your eulogy. Absolutely fascinating. When you think about why you're on the earth, sit down and write your eulogy. And don't write it as a CV. Just write what you want somebody to say about you when you've gone. Fascinating exercise to do. So this was a really, really strong, a great story, a great example. I blogged it at the time about how you can go from the depths of despair to the heights of success. And interestingly, Conor O'Shea, our coach, has said, we haven't arrived yet. Now we've got to do it every year. And that's why the guys are now top of the table, because they're driving that forward and making that happen. And it's just a great place to be. It's a great club to be involved in. And I've now just about renewed my season ticket because it was too embarrassing. I couldn't go back. So also I want to tell you about these guys, Zappos. Who's heard of Zappos? Once again, apart from the Adido guys. Absolutely fascinating story. Okay, here's a guy called Tony Zay, who made his money in the dot-com boom. He made about 20 million, sold his business for about 20 million to one of the big giants, Microsoft, I think, and then lost it all, as you do. When you make a lot of money, it's easy to lose it. And he was left with one company, and that company was called Zappos. And what he did with Zappos is he put a culture in place in Zappos. And he lived that culture by doing these things. I'm going to stand out the way. He actually paid people to quit. He said the first 2 months you come into the business, you're going to spend in the call centre. They were selling shoes online, by the way, hence the footprint. Selling shoes online. First 2 months, you're going to be in the call centre. Even if you're the new FD, you're going to go in the call centre. And at the end of that 2 months, we'll pay you $2,000 to leave the business. So what does that mean for a business that does that? If somebody stays, what are they? Sorry?
Committed.
Committed, yeah. They're the right kind of people. They're the people that share the same values and culture as the rest of the Zappo employees. They buy into it. If somebody takes the money, what does that mean? You probably were going to sack them or get rid of them, or they were going to leave a couple of months down the line. You've saved yourself a whole shed load of cash. They eventually sold the business for $1.2 billion to Amazon a couple of years ago. And Tony now goes around the world saying about how, and there's a book called Delivering Happiness, A Path to Profits, Passion and Purpose, which I always give to all of my clients because it's the most wonderfully inspiring book. So if you can get the culture right in a business, you can get the culture and values right in your life, then actually you'll become very, very happy. And by the way, you just happen to earn more money. It just happens that way. The happier you are, the different energy that you put out into the world. Is it useful, yes or no? Good. I'm going to give you some tips at the end, so don't worry. These are the things that you're going to need to write down. So it's all about a journey. It's a journey from A to B. It's a journey from a business perspective. If I go back to my military days, and I had a group of Marines in a wood, and we're holed up, and we know we've got to go and take an objective. If I say to the guys, come on then, we'll just start going, without getting orders or understanding the destination, they probably won't be too keen to come with me, will they? They're going to be thinking, Christ, Sarge, you don't know where you're going. Why are we leaving? I don't know if we've got the right equipment to get that journey. I don't even know where the destination is. So you've got to have a clear understanding as a business where your direction is. It doesn't have to be miles away. In fact, I would encourage you not to make it miles away. There's short steps. People are more risk averse during the recession. So don't frighten them by putting something way, way out there. Have something nearby that everybody can strive to achieve. And once you know that, then you can make sure that everybody's fit and healthy, and we've got the right ammunition, and we've got, I know who's got the radio batteries and so on, before we can leave on that journey. In a personal situation, if you don't know where you're going and what you want to achieve in life, it's very, very hard, isn't it? Get out of bed some days when you don't know why you're getting out of bed each day. It's terrible. The world is full of people who get out of bed every day just to make money. There's a bigger purpose. All of the really, really successful people, the people that are most content, are those that understand that it's something else as well, that they have a purpose while they're on the earth. So here's a few tips that you might want to write down. Am I okay for time? Cool? Ish. So be the person or the business that you want to be. Understand what your values are and how you want to show up in the world. I get out of bed every day to change people's lives. And I have a great deal of joy doing it. Now, I'm sure I'm quite comfortable, but that took a while for that. It took me 3 careers before I could figure out this. It didn't come overnight. I was in the city, I was building businesses and having a lot of fun doing it. Well, actually, I didn't have any fun at all. I dreaded the 20 years in IT. I didn't enjoy a single day of it. I made a lot of cash, but that's not the point. I didn't enjoy a single day in IT. There was there was a few highs and lows when we managed to do some miraculous save of a British Airways site or something. There was some good little moments, but generally every day was a male chauvinistic world that was driven on numbers, purely on numbers. Gave me no satisfaction at all. So if you work in that kind of business, if you run that kind of business, just think about how your staff feel, because you're probably not getting the best out of them. So you've got to allow them to be the best that they can be. And happy people are productive people. In your personal life, think about who you are. Think about your values. Think of the things that are most precious to you in your life. Work towards a destination, we spoke about. Accept where you are and get on with it. It's a great lesson from the Bloodgate story. You are where you are. You can't, no matter how much you dwell on the past, you cannot change it. It's been crap lately running businesses, hasn't it? 2007, July 2007, we went into recession. And by the way, we're not out of it yet. Officially, technically, we've had 2 quarters of positive GDP, but we're not out of it. Next year, we're going to come out of it, and we're going to have a 7-year boom. Now's the time to get ready. Okay? Don't hang around. Now's the time to make these changes. And you make the changes first by accepting you are where you are. Change is something that you need to enable to happen. Now, you're fortunate you've come today because there's some guys around today who know in your digital world how to make those changes. So make sure you write down what they say. Understand and live your values, and from a business perspective, take the team with you. It's about full participation. Values do not come from on high. How many people have got mission statements or worked in a business that's got a mission statement? Can you tell me what it is? Verbatim.
Yeah, ours is to be the best and then the biggest in the marketplace.
Good, fantastic. How many work? Go on.
Living in balance with nature.
Living in balance with nature, fantastic. Did you generate them, or the staff generate those? The top layer. How attached do you think your staff are to that? Fairly. Yeah, you can have it as an vision, as a mission statement, but the values that support that come from the guys. So if you want them to go with you, they need to generate that. These are Adido's values. Now, the directors didn't come up with these values. The team came up with these values. This is how they live their lives. It's like when you cut through the wrist. This is what pours out the veins. Don't try. It's just a great culture. And if you, I'm assuming a lot of you are clients, you know, that's what you're buying into. What they do, other people do as well. It's a very competitive market out there. But nobody does it in the same manner because it's based on a solid foundation of culture and values. So as you go through the day today, when you're having lunch or you're in a session, you've got a 5-minute conversation with one of the Adido guys, get them to explain to you what their values are. Because you can learn from them as much as you can around their digital presence. So is this useful? Good, good. Can somebody give me one thing, a couple of people, give me something you've learnt? Anybody, what have you learnt? You didn't come here for a rest today, did you? Come on, one thing that you've learnt in the last 20 minutes.
A bit about writing a eulogy.
Sorry?
The bit about writing your eulogy.
Writing your eulogy, yeah. Yeah, fascinating exercise. Really sort of brings you. It's not a CV, okay? So-and-so did this, did this. It's about the impact you make on the world.
How important culture is in a company.
Yeah, how important culture is. Culture drives commercial behaviour. Tony Z, the guy who ran the CEO of Zappos, you can go onto YouTube, you can see him talking very eloquently about it, and he puts it all down to culture. And it's selling the company for 1.2 billion, not bad. There's a lot to it. I do urge you to read the book. So thanks for that. I'm now going to hand over to Andy Headington. Andy's one of the... Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Can you repeat the name of the book?
The book is called Delivering Happiness, A Path to Profits, Passion and Purpose. But if you remember Delivering Happiness, you plug it in, you'll find it. With further ado, I'm going to hand over to Andy. We're going to have a short break because we've got to swap mics. So apologies while we just swap our material and just say thank you very much for listening.